Alright, TM551260, Department Army Technical Manual. Operator's instruction: locomotive diesel mechanical 56.5 inch gauge 10 ton 040 flat route fate route Heath Plymouth model DD2. Department of Army, March 1957. Locomotive diesel mechanic 56.5 inch gauge 10 ton 040 fate route Heath or Plymouth model DDT. Introduction, general scope, other publication, daily inspection worksheet with a description data with the description components. Chapter 2, operating instructions, preliminary instructions, supply of the air system, leaks, miscellaneous. This also doesn't look to be a full manual either. Okay, and maybe, skip that. Let's move on to this. Alright. 1 is your headlight, 2 is your radiator filler, 3 is the engine air intake, 4 is the sand filler, 5 is the fuel filler, 6 is the horn, 7 is the fuel vent, and 8 is the rear headlight, 9 is sand pipe, 10 is the torque value, torque converter, supply tank filler, 12, 11 air compressor, 11 air pressure drain valve, 12 your flange lubricators. Alright, scope. Section 1 scope. This manual is published for the use of the personal concern for the operation of the Plymouth locomotive works with 10-ton diesel maintenance and locomotive that contains the description, major part of the function, relation with the components of the equipment, the appendix that contains the list of the tools, onboard spares for the initial issue items will be carried on locomotives at all times. Other publications. The TM55209 contains additional information concerning the operation of diesel equipment. Maintenance allocation charts will be published in the TM55126720. Daily inspection DAA form 862, daily inspection worksheet for the diesel electrical locomotive. The operator will record the deficiencies encountered during the operation of the A operator's portion of the form. Section 2, forward description and data. Step 4, description. The locomotive is powered by the single General Motors model with 3080 supercharged diesel engine, normally rated at 100 horsepower to 2,000 RPM. The traction power is driven by the wheels, the transmission with the engine crankshaft with the 4-speed with the transmission with the torque converter, self-aligning the coupling with the connection with the two units. This engine power is turned and conveyed with the transmission with the drive axle through the roller chains, which link with the sprockets that are integrally attached to the driver shaft, each driver axle. The braking system straight air with the SA2 self-lapping brake valve with handbrake is provided with a holding locomotive system with a 2-cylinder air-cooled compressor pump air in the main reserve L operation mechanism with operation on the front with the operator seat with the cab with the group with the station with the reversing lever and the speed change lever with the converter brake pedal, the dead man pedal, sand valve, bell and horn controls, wiper, wooden open wiper control, master switch, gauge panel, light switches. All meters and gauges may be reviewed or by the operator with the control station. 5. The component data. Locomotive manufactured Plymouth locomotive works model DDT weight 10 ton, 50 gauge 56.5, length 13 foot 0 inches, width 5 foot 10 inches, height 7 foot 0 inches, fuel capacity 32 gallons, cooling water capacity 8.5 gallons. Manufacturer engine manufacturer General Motors model 3080, cylinders 3, bore 4.5 inches, 4.25 inches, stroke 5 feet, fuel diesel oil, capacity 100 horsepower to 200 RPMs or 2,000 RPMs, crankcase lube oil capacity 10 quarts, fuel some solid injection cooling system, radiator starting system, electric 24 volt battery. Model TC455, changing pressure 60 charging pressure minimum 60 psi, charging pressure maximum 100 psi, oil pump capacity 18.5 gallons per minute at 1800 engine RPMs. Air compressor manufacturer, air compressor Quincy Compressor Company with model 216, size of 31.5 or 3.5 inches by the 2.5 inches. Oil capacity 2 3/4 of a pint. Capacity 18.5 centimeters for the 900 RPMs. Air brakes. Manufacturer Westing Air Brake Company. Type straight air. Brake valve SA2. Brake cylinders 4 inches by 6 inch. Main reserve 12 inch by 48 inches. Alright, Chapter 2, Operating Instructions, Selection 1, Preliminary Inspection. Check the supplies as follows. Fuel C with the fuel tank contained with the supply with the fuel shut off with the valve under the tank of the turned on lubricating oil. D sure with the bowl for the compartments on transmission filled with the high level of the transmission oil. C the engine air compressor with the crankcase filled with the full of the high mark of the oil, the gauge of the oil with the torque with the convert the oil reservoir and is up to the full mark of the oil gauge. Water, be sure with the radiators filled with the clean soft water with the cold weather with the antifreeze solution. Sand, if see that the sand box is filled with clean and dry sand. Alright, 7, air system. Check the condensate of the drain for the air reserve. To close all the drain cock for the air reserve airline. See if the main reserve cutout cock of the brake cylinder cutout cocks distributing of the valve with the cutout cock are open. 8, leaks. Check for the oil and water leaks. Leaks are more probable with a warm engine under the pressure, and if they observe within such conditions may be reported. Miscellaneous. Check for the worn or missing brake shoes, other loose, damaged, dragging parts. Inspect the engine and other machinery with a regular tool that may have been left near the moving part. Alright, Section 2, Controls and Adjustment General. The section describes the location and illustration furnished with the operating sufficient information for the various controls instrument. With the controls instrument necessary with the routine operation locomotive located in the cab in the front of the operator. This includes the throttle speed, changing the lever, the controlling power speed of the reverse lever, controlling direction, oil, or the travel of the brake valve, with the indicating of an instrument. Various manual operating lighting, control switch, the throttle with the reverse lever, the speed, changing lever, the brake lever, control all locomotive with the movement. The master control switch, and 8 in the panel below the instrument must be closed before any of the power operated from the batteries. 12. The reverse lever at the rear left corner with the transmission with the reposition move to the right to the forward, the center of the neutral, and left the reserve. The speed changing of the lever. The position of the speed changing lever are noted with the recovery with the transmission, therefore the 4 speed, each speed having equal power in either direction. Bolt move the lever to the left and forward across the straight back, and the second ahead with the cross over the right forward, the third and straight back to the 4 speed. Alright, 1 is your fuel oil filter, 2 is your starting and pump engine, 3 is your emergency engine station stop, 4 is your speed control changing lever, 5 is the fuel oil gauge, 6 is the reverse lever, 7 is the throttle lever, 8 is the master control switch, 9 is the rear light switch, 10 is the engine temperature, engine start button, 11 is the engine temperature gauge, 12 is the starting capsule holder, 13 torque converter, oil temperature gauge, 14 battery ammeter, 15 torque converter oil pressure gauge, 16 engine oil pressure, 17 instrument panel light, 18 headlight switch, 19 main reserve air pressure gauge, 20 cab switch, cab light switch, 21 low air pressure warning limit, the warning light, 22 cab step light switch, 23 cab heater switch, 24 horn pull cord, 25 sand valve, 26 drivetrain, 26 is the drivetrain lubricator, 27 is the air brake valve, 28 is the emergency handbrake, 29 is the bell ringer valve, 30 is the cab heaters, 31 is the torque converter retarding braking, 32 the dead man pedal. Alright, we read the rest of 14, throttle lever. The throttle lever, the 7 controls the speed of the engine, pull the back with the open throttle forward, and idle with the stop of the engine. When the throttle lever is pushed forward, a slot in the throttle bracket with the stop of the lever in the engine idles position and slight with a sideways pressure when the lever will allow it to be disengaged with the slot when the moves and so further forward, which will shut off the engine. Air brake, the air brake valve. Description: the air brake valve with the 27 for the control of the operation from the locomotive. The brake valve automatically cuts in off of the airflow for the brake of the cylinder point. Builds up the point corresponding with the position of the brake valve handle. Surface position brake with approximately 90-degree arrows are movement with the full release, full surface position brake cylinder pressure with varies directly with the degrees that handle movement. B. The surface application. When making the stop, apply with the brakes moving the valve handle to the right. The amount of the brake application depends on the distance of the handle is advanced for the tour of the full application position. The short and smooth stop with the accomplished by applying with the brakes at the start is the hard as the speed with the at the grade, the rail condition permit with the graduation of the speed with the grease moving the handle gradually to the left. The locomotive will finally be brought to rest with only enough brake cylinder pressure to retain to prevent it from moving. 3. Because of the retarding effect of the brake cylinder pressure with the greater than lower than high speed, a heavy the application of the low speed result with an abrupt stop. E. Release the valve on the value fully relieve the brakes move with the brake valve handle. The release position handle will be left in the position at all times when not in use. 2. Gradually or partially release the brakes, move the handle toward the left, and the brake cylinder pressure will immediately reduce the amount with the corresponding with the handle movement. The emergency, they should be made imperative to stop at the shortest possible time and distance, save the life and avoid accidents. Move the handle quickly from the whatever the position may be in a full surface position and leave it there until the locomotive stops and danger is past. 16. Torque converter retarding brake. The torque converter retarding brake 31 controls the spinning action dragging converter with the locomotive must also be completed with the stop of the throttle and idle position when the brake is applied with excessive speed with the cuff, the undue wear of the lining. 17. Emergency handbrake. The emergency handbrake 28 is set by pulling the backward to the operator position. 18. Dead man pedal. The dead man foot pedal with the 32 safety device was depressed at all times during the operation of the locomotive to safeguard against the incapacitation of the operator. The release for the dead man pedal will automatically apply for the brakes and bring the engine to the idle speed. 19. Engine start button. The engine start button push number 10 close with the engine starting contact with the connect with the starting motor to the battery while cranking the engine. 20. Sand valve. The sanding valve is mounted on the brake stand with the connect with the airline with the control sander mechanism which feeds the sand on the track through the forward and reverse sanding tubes. The valve is manually operated with a handle which can be moved 3 positions, which then the handle is pushing forward from the front position, sand with the rear lever to the front wheels. When the handle is pulled to the reverse position, during the reverse position, the sand is delivered to the rear wheels. Where the handle is returned to the off-center opposition, the sand cutoff is off. Bell ringer valve with the 29 is connected with the air line with the control of the air pressure with the rings with the bell mounted on the front cap. The horn pull cord is at 24 sign with the warning of the horn with the mounted on the top of the cap. The valve is closed at all times except for the cord and pulled in the permits with the passage of the main reserve air horn. Torque converter, oil temperature, pressure gauge. The temperature gauge for the highest temperature from the system for the oil leak, and the converter of the oil temperature gauge for the 13 register for the temperature for the oil and the converter outlet. The normal operation temperature for this oil is 170 to 220 degrees Fahrenheit. Maximum temperature is 250 degrees Fahrenheit. Must not exceed the pressure gauge for the oil pressure gauge measure for the charging pressure of full throttle for the operation 60 psi minimum. Charging pressure must be maintained. A maximum pressure of 100 psi must not exceed. 24. The temperature engine temperature oil pressure gauge. The temperature gauge for the register for the temperature of the water cooling system. When the water temperature should range between 165 to 180 degrees. Normal operation oil pressure gauge. The oil pressure gauge 16 indicates the pressure for the lubricating oil. But the oil pressure should not fall below 25 pounds of the operating speed. The 5 pounds of the engine idle. 25. Air pressure gauge with the warning light. Air pressure gauge with the register for the main reserve air pressure never to operate for the locomotive until the proper point of the register is to 50 5 psi with the gauge low pressure warning light goes out. The battery ammeter 14 indicates the rate of the charge. The discharge of the battery must be observed with frequently with the engine running. It should be indicated 0 there. Varying charging the reading depending on the condition for the battery. Excessive conditions charged may be due to the poor condition of the battery. Voltage regulator must be reported with the daily inspection worksheet. Continuous discharge must also be reported to avoid running down the battery. 27. Emergency engine shutdown may be pulled out of the stop engine by mechanical connection with the valve shaft with the intent only for the emergency shutdown with the engine there is no air pressure. 28. Fuel shutoff pull ring. The fuel shutoff valve in the fuel line is operated with the pull ring quickly cutting off the flow of the fuel from the oil case in the fire collision with the other emergency 2 rings that are righted one on each side of the locomotive mounted on the outside of the cab to open the fuel line. After stripping the valve, manually reset the valve, then it may be necessary to bleed the air from the fuel line. 29. Section lighting and heating switches. The individual switches mounted with the instrument panel are identified in the nameplates. Instrumental panel light 17, headlight 18, the rear light 9, cab light 20, step light 22, cab heater switch 23. Section 3. Operating instructions. 30. Preparatory for the starting engine. Before starting the engine, check to see whether the tools, nuts, and bolts and other materials are laying around the engine compartment of the cab. They could be possibly caught in the following the working mechanism. Check the handbrake is set for the lock position. They are either both the reversing lever, the speed changer lever is in neutral position. 31. Starting the engine. Pull the handle throttle back until it drops into the engine idle position. Turn the master switch on position. Press the engine start button until the engine fires. Do not operate with the cranking motor more than 30 seconds at a time to avoid overheating the motor. Caution: if the engine fails to start, do not repress the button until the cranking motor stops rotating. Serious damage avoided with the cranking motor may result above the rule is noted not followed. The engine does not start after 4 periods of cranking. Refer to the operating difficulties paragraph 36 of 40. Should be outside of the temperature of 40 degrees Fahrenheit below with either starting aid with explained with paragraph 32. Immediately after starting the above, observe the oil pressure gauge if the pressure is shown. Further, after 10 to 15 seconds stop the engine, check the lubricating system, set the battery beginning with the charge that indicate the battery ammeter. 5. Run the engine part throttle no load for 5 minutes to allow the engine to warm up. 32. Cold water starting. Generally, either starting the aid provides meaning of starting the engine with the ambient temperatures as so low as 10 degrees Fahrenheit. Discharge used to inject either the inlet manifold in order to set the ignition of the fuel. Operation: unscrew the cap from the body. 12. Place the capsule on the body with a piercing shaft with a raised position all the way out. Screw the cap to the body. Securely push the piercing shaft down until the bottom of this and breaks up with the capsule filled with the container with the starting fluid vapor. 5. Move the engine throttle to the fuel full fuel position. Engine in the start with the simultaneously pull the back plunger, pump plunger all the way, and then push the plunger in slowly, then thus forcing the starting fluid to the throttle of the nozzle into the air tank. Continue to push the plunger slowly until the engine starts. If the plunger is not all the way, the engine starts pushing the very slow until the locks into the in position. Unscrew with the cap from the body of the removal of the unused capsule. Do not leave the empty capsule within the container. 8. When not in use, piercing shaft must be all the way down. Caution never to discharge the capsule into the manifold with the high engine. Even the capsule specified with the starting age. Do not use a substitute. 33. And stopping the engine. Normal stop. And set the throttle at the half speed. Let the engine run without load with about 2 minutes. This will allow the coolant of the normal life before the shutting down. Move the throttle forward with the no fuel position to stop the engine. Turn the master control switch off position. Emergency stop. Stop the engine with emergency due to low air pressure. Pull out the emergency engine stop located on the instrument panel. In the event of a collision or fire, other emergency pull either the fuel shutoff rings located on the outside with either the cab. 24. 34. Locomotive operation. A. Pre-operation check. See that the oil pressure registers at least 20 to 25 pounds for the operating speed of 5 pounds at engine idle. Engine temperature should register between 165 to 180 degrees Fahrenheit. Operating speed. Air pressure gauge must be read 50 to 50 psi. Warning light goes out. Test the horn bell ringer on the windshield wiper. Traveling. Release the emergency brake. Drive the press of the deadman's panel. Remove the reverse level to forward or reverse position depending on the direction and motion the desired. Set the speed change within the desired operating speed. Open the throttle desired engine with the hauling of the heavy loads. Open it with the full throttle start so the engine will open operated some governed speed. Operating the engine less for the governed speed heats for the oil and the torque of the converter unduly. Well, the transmission has 4 speed, but the only one give the best locomotive performance, at least for the temperature for the converter, with the temperature gauge for the determinant of the engine, the speed for the given, with the most satisfactory performance. The temperature in the torque converter must not exceed 250 degrees Fahrenheit, second to normal, to give it the best performance with the short and sharpened curves. Wheel slipping. The wheel slipping occurs. Move with the throttle toward the idle position until the slipping stops. Apply the sand and spring sparingly on the rail in advance for the throttle. Never apply sand while the wheels are slipping. This could cause the broken travel gear of the flat wheel. Stop locomotive. Normal stop. Reduce the engine with idle speed. Throttle with the idle position. Apply with the air brakes. Move with the brake valve handle to the right. Mount with the brake valve. Apply. Application depends upon the distance for the handle to advance forward with the application position. Release the deadman foot pedal. Brakes have been applied. Release the deadman pedal after the brakes have been applied. Shift either the reverse lever or speed charging lever to the normal position. Apply the emergency brake handle. Emergency stop. Apply the sand to the rails and move the brake valve handle to the full service position. Change the direction of motion. Change speed of direction of motion. Stop the locomotive described in D1 above. The extreme cost of the severe grades of the locomotive exerting the manual maximum handling effort to shift either the reverse lever, the changing lever, the normal position just before the comes to rest. When gears have been brought to neutral, applying retarded brake to stop the action of the converter of the locomotive will always completely stop at the throttle idle position with the brakes applied with excessive speed caused by the undo with the lining. And the correct idle speed of the engine is 400 to 500 RPMs. Must never exceed in order to keep the converter drag at a minimum movement of the speed with the reverse lever forward. The position desired shift is not completed and the initial contact release the retarding brake slightly allow the converter to drag the gears in proper shifting position. Reapply the brake and completely shift. 35. Inspection check during operation. Check the gauge frequently. Investigate the report and the deviation from the normal oil pressure. The begins with 5 pounds for the idle speed, 25 pounds operating speed, temperature, engine speed, minimum 165 degrees, maximum 185 degrees. Oil temperature converter gauge maximum normal 170 to 222 degrees Fahrenheit, maximum 250 degrees. Oil pressure torque converter minimum 60 psi, maximum 100 psi. Air pressure 50 psi, maximum 115 psi. Battery ammeter the zero may charge 0 or varying charge reading. Section 4. Operating difficulties. Engine fails to start with a depressing start button. Master switch open lower dead the battery. Battery terminal is loose with a corroded defective start switch. 37. The engine turns will not fire. Will continue with the running after release of the start button. Fuel tank empty. Fuel pump is not functioning properly. Engine fuel cutoff valve closed. Fuel failing and falling off the power. The decrease of the engine power should be the manifest operated with the failure to retain useful speed response with the throttle setting by the character and engine noise of the meter indication. The general due to the engine condition must be reported in the operation report portion of the DD Form 86, Department of Defense Form 862. Engine stop. The fuel tank empty with lubricated with the oil pressure. The cause of the engine shutdown device for the operator. Emergency fuel shutoff has been tripped. The lubricating oil pressure shutdown device has been tripped. 40. Compressor fails to pump air. If the compressor does not operate properly, check the engine angle in the drain cocks, piping the air as a hose, and the other points for leakage. Alright, appendix. Repair parts, special tools, listed and basic items. The appendix list with the component for the accessories of the initially issued with the equipment of the repair parts assembly, the compromise, the basic list of the items used, the list of items used with the identification, storage, and requesting with the used in the procurement. The items shown with the basic list are arranged alphabetically by the name with the applicable range for the corners with the assembly and sub-assembly part relationship. The following columnary headings are used with the federal technical service stock number, the column list with the federal stock number, which contains substantive federal item identification number, the 4-digit of the federal supply classification number, the technical service stock number, the when the item of the stock supply responsibility and other the appropriate service abbreviation shown with the stock number, the engine or ORD, the column list for the federal item name with the modified with the use of the abbreviation described in the item, units item, the column list with the standard the quantity of the items of the expendability of such as the NX shown the column that they are determined non-expendable. When there is nothing shown for any item, it will be considered to be expendable. Quality authorized, the column list for the quantity authorized for the stockage list of the one Eagle maintenance figure of the number of the column list of the figure of the number of the items listed. The following abbreviation systems are used. Abbreviation manufactured Busman, manufactured Busman, Manufacturer Corporation, Detroit Division, General Motors, Fate Ruth Health Company, General Electric Company, Standard Oil Company with the California Western Electric Company, General AMP stands for AMP, CPs for candle power, DG degree, DIA diameter, EA each, H height or high, IPS iron pipe size, LG length or long, minimum min. MIN minimum, NOM nominal, V volt, W wide width, W dash width, and WT weight. Symbols NX non-expendable. The replacement question for the items indicate with the service stock number to accomplish in accordance with the provisions of AR 717 cross-reference for the include the appendix to facilitate the identification of part of the stock number of the items listed. Part number of the stock number of the cross-reference the list of the manufacturer, the number of the drawing parts conference cross-reference federal technical service stock numbers. Or the stock number and the part number of the cross-reference for the list of the Federal Technical Service stock number, the cross-reference manufacturer drawing part 7, the service part supply with the diesel locomotive of the designated manual model unless otherwise noted. 8 errors on the mission note with the appendix should be promptly reported with the commander using U.S. Army Transportation Supply Maintenance Command, P.O. Box 209, Main Office, St. Louis 3, Missouri. Or you got your locomotive diesel mechanical belt V capsule engine starting fuel fuse cartridge lamp incandescent bar pinch chisel cold hand extinguisher fire vaporizing liquid grease gun hand hammer hand oil hander padlock pliers punching driver pin screwdriver flat tip wrench monkey wrench open ended decimal wrench pipe the wrench set open ended fix. Publications, technical manual, operative manual, locomotive diesel, order, general, and part number of the stock with the cross-reference, Chevron, capsule, Standard Oil, Fate Rate, Health, Busman, manufacturer, Fate Roth, the part numbers, and more manufacturers. By order of the Wilbur M. Brucker, Secretary of the Army, Maxwell T.D., General, United States Officer, United States Army Chief of Staff, Officer Herbert M. Jones, Major General, United States Army, the Junction General. And that completes the reading of your Technical Manual 55126-10 with the Department of Army Operators and Instruction Locomotive Diesel Mechanic 56 and a half 10-inch gauge 040 Fate Rate Health and Plymouth Model DDT.